Okay, let's unpack this. When you hear the name Andy Richter, your immediate mental snapshot is probably him next to Conan O'Brien, right? Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. That large, kind of affable presence, always on the couch, the sidekick.
he is pretty much the definitive modern sidekick in a lot of people's minds, sort of the steady, genial ballast against Conan's, energy.
Exactly. And that stability, that constant presence, it's really kind of a magnificent piece of performance art in itself. Because, when you actually dig into his whole career, you realize Paul Andrew Richter, born October 28th, 1966, he's actually a master of creative restlessness.
Restlessness.
Yeah. He is a writer, a comedian, an actor, a talk show announcer, sure, but he's also like a huge voice actor. His characters span decades.
Right.
And he was the sitcom star, whose shows critics loved, but audiences kind of ignored. And even, get this, a competitive game show champion.
Okay, so that tension you mentioned between, like, the safety of being the sidekick and that constant itch to be the leading guy, that's kind of what we're diving into today.
Precisely.
Because, his defining roles, you can't argue with it. It's the 3 shows with O'Brien, Late Night, back in 93 to 2000.
Right.
The Tonight Show, that brief 2009-2010 stint.
Very brief, yeah.
And then Conan on TBS right up until 2021. But the sources, they really paint a much richer and honestly more complicated picture of what success means in Hollywood.
You might know his face from Late Night, absolutely. But you have definitely heard his voice everywhere. Think about Mort in the Madagascar movies.
Oh, yeah. The little lemur guy.
That's him. That frantic, high-pitched, totally beloved lemur. That's Andy Richter.
Yeah.
And that role has, outlasted almost every single live-action thing he's done.
Wow.
Or think about the title of that show he did, the one critics loved but got canceled. Andy Richter Controls the Universe.
Ah, yeah. The irony.
The irony is just, it defines the whole arc we're going to trace here.
So he's someone who basically perfected being number 2, right? Yeah. Which gave him incredible security.
And stability.
But he kept pushing his good fortune, that's how he put it, right, towards being the lead, having creative control, often getting great reviews, and then, poof, commercial failure.
Yeah, that's the pattern.
So we really need to look at the guy who chose to walk away from arguably one of the best jobs in comedy.
Yeah.
Only to find himself, choosing again and again to come back home.
Yeah.
So to get that drive, that mix of wanting stability but also being restless, we got to look at where he started. Not just Michigan, but Yorkville, Illinois, where he grew up. Second of 4 kids.
And the forces, they detail a really interesting kind of non-traditional family background.
Yeah.
Which might have, influenced how comfortable he was with change, with shifting environments.
How so?
Well, his mother, Glenda Swanson, she designed kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
And his father, Lawrence R. Richter, he was a respected academic. Taught Russian at Indiana University for over 30 years.
Okay, academic background.
But the family structure itself changed pretty early on. Yeah. His parents divorced when he was only 4.
Wow, young.
Yeah. And a really crucial piece of his biography is that his father later came out as bisexual.
Right. I read that.
So that backdrop of change, maybe some early life instability, that can often be a powerful motivator for someone. Either they seek control, structure, comfort. Or they get really good at adapting, which is exactly what you need in improv, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of excelling, here's a great little detail. It puts him in that future star category way before New York. He graduated from Yorkville High School in '84.
Okay.
And he was elected prom king.
Prom king. Get out.
Seriously, literally the king of his small town before he became, the trusted lieutenant to a late night king.
That's fantastic.
His path after high school, though, it initially suggested maybe a career behind the camera. He went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, then Columbia College Chicago, focusing heavily on film studies.
Right. He wasn't thinking about being the guy on stage at first. He was thinking writing, directing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He left Columbia in '88, started doing the classic hustle, production assistant on commercial shoots in Chicago.
Right, the grunt work.
Totally. The kind of grinding job that really teaches you the nuts and bolts of making TV. But the really crucial move, the pivot, comes in '89 when he finds his true calling, Chicago improv.
Ah, yes. Improv Olympic.
He started taking classes there. And for anyone who doesn't know the Chicago scene, this wasn't just like a comedy club. It was a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. A factory for a specific style, right?
Yeah.
Intelligent, character-driven, long-form stuff required deep listening, total commitment to these absurd ideas instantly.
And his rise there was incredibly fast. Within a year, he goes from student to house performer.
That says a lot. Speaks volumes about his natural comedic brain,
Yeah.
his timing.
He also branched out, did stuff at the Comedy Underground, and importantly, the Annoyance Theater.
The Annoyance. That's where the bridge to TV really got built, was it?
That's the one. The breakthrough came from this really bizarre but brilliant high-concept show they did, The Real Live Brady Bunch.
Oh, I remember hearing about this. Genius idea.
Pure genius. They performed actual scripts from the old 70s sitcom, word for word, including, like, the awkward pauses, the canned laughter cues, everything.
Hilarious. And it got big, right? National attention.
Huge success. And when the show was ready to move to New York City, Richter saw his opening. The actor playing Mike Brady, the dad, decided not to go. So Richter lobbied the producer, Joey Soloway, got the part. Playing the straight man patriarch in this super weird parody. It put him on the map for a whole new audience, industry people.
And that's where the connections start clicking into place.
Exactly. Two of his co-stars from that show, Beth Cahill and Melanie Hutzel, they played the Brady girls.
Right.
They got hired for Saturday Night Live. And through them, hanging out after shows, Richter meets SNL writer Robert Smigel.
Ah, Smigel. The key figure.
The key figure. Smigel was getting ready to launch this new, untested late-night show for a totally unknown host named Conan O'Brien.
And Smigel was impressed enough to hire Richter a couple years later for Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Oh, wait. He hired him as a writer first, right?
Yeah.
Not to be on camera.
Correct. Hired him as a writer. Drawing on that film school background, that quick improv mind. Fate. Had other plans.
Okay, so that leads us right into the Conan Chronicle. The birth of the, you could say, accidental sidekick.
Totally accidental. What's wild is that this partnership, which basically defined TV comedy for like 2 decades, it didn't start with casting. It started with like a technical need. It's
the classic Hollywood right place, right time story, isn't it?
Yeah.
The show's in rehearsals. They need someone to sit next to Conan on set.
Just to test the lights, the mics.
Yeah, a warm body. So Smigel, meeting someone, just sends Richter out there.
And boom, instant chemistry.
Smigel noticed it right away. This strong rapport, as the sources put it, it wasn't like the old Ed McMahon style, just the announcer.
No, totally different.
This was dynamic, improvisational. Richter could be the straight man. He could jump in. He could be genuinely confused, just like the audience.
Yeah, he wore a lot of hats right from the start.
So just weeks before the premiere in '93, Richter shifts completely from the writing staff to being the on-camera sidekick, the co-host, basically.
And he ended up doing, what, over 1,200 episodes in that first run?
12,247 episodes, yeah. All while still writing, still contributing jokes for sketches for the monologue. He was performing, but he was deep in the creative process, too.
So he finds this incredible niche, right? Fame, stability, creative satisfaction. But that restless thing we talked about, that need to test his good fortune.
It kicks in.
It kicks in. May 26, 2000. Richter makes a calculated move to walk away.
Which was stunning at the time. People were like, what?
Yeah.
Why? He wasn't leaving because things were bad.
No, not at all.
He left purely to scratch that creative itch. The sidekick role, even with the writing, it just wasn't enough anymore.
He gave this amazing quote. It's so philosophical, it really sums up his whole career conflict, I think. He said, after 7 years of being on the show, I got itchy.
Right.
I have a philosophy that if you enjoy good fortune, you should try and push it. You should see how much you can stretch your good fortune. And I was curious.
Curious. He wanted to know if he could be the main guy, the one in control of the universe, so to speak.
Exactly. And that curiosity, that launches the 7-year detour, the solo quest. But, eventually he came back.
He did indeed.
So let's fast forward almost a decade. Conan's making the huge move to L.A., taking over The Tonight Show. Big deal.
Massive deal. And huge pressure.
And on February 24, 2009, Richter officially returns. But initially, it was just supposed to be as the announcer, right?
Yeah.
More formal.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Announcer. But man, that transition back to the classic dynamic, it was fast and powerful.
The audience wanted it. Conan wanted it.
You could feel it. He quickly started doing more sketches, interacting during the monologue again, all the stuff that made him essential on late night.
And by December 2009, he was back on the couch during interviews. Full sidekick mode resumed.
Full circle.
But the really critical thing here is why he came back. Especially after spending 7 years trying to make it solo. Was it just the friendship?
Well, the friendship was huge, obviously. But the sources point to something deeper. A realization about the difference between actively working versus just waiting around in Hollywood.
Ah, development hell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is where we get that brilliant plumber analogy. Richter talked about being so relieved, so happy just to have a steady paycheck again, and specifically avoiding that soul-crushing development process.
He'd spent years pitching shows, writing pilots, getting network notes, waiting.
Yeah, and he described it so vividly. He said, I felt like a plumber who kept going into the building and saying, can we put some pipes together? And watching my wrenches gather dust.
Wow. That perfectly captures it, doesn't it? The frustration.
Totally. You've got the talent, you've got the tools, but the industry just keeps you waiting, keeps you uncertain. Going back to late night, that meant instant creative satisfaction every single night, a secure job. Totally different from trying to get a show made only to have it fall apart.
So it was a choice for, effectiveness, stability, over that kind of agonizing ambition.
I think so. And after that brief, crazy Tonight Show period ended.
Which, ironically, probably made their bond even stronger.
Absolutely. Richter just followed Conan straight to TBS in 2010. Seamless transition. And for the next 11 years, on Conan, he did it all again. Writer, announcer, sidekick, sketch guy. Right up until the end in 2021. Stability became his anchor.
But to really get why he needed that anchor, we have to rewind to that 7-year gap, the solo quest, from 2000 to 2009. It really shows that brutal difference between critical acclaim and actual commercial success.
Yeah, he left late night in 2000 totally determined. He wanted to be the star, the writer, the lead. And his first big shot, maybe his most ambitious creatively, was that Fox series, Andy Richter Controls the Universe.
Such a great title. High-concept comedy, right? He played a struggling writer, narrated the show, his inner thoughts would pop up visually.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall constantly. Meta-commentary on his life, on sitcoms.
Yeah.
Really smart stuff.
Critics went nuts for it. They called it intelligent, unique, different from anything else on TV.
Absolutely loved it. But complex, clever comedy doesn't always mean big ratings, especially on Fox back then.
Right.
So despite the buzz, despite the great reviews, got canceled after just 2 short mid-season runs.
Ouch. Then he followed that up with another Fox sitcom, Quintuplets, more traditional multicam.
Also short-lived, just 1 season. The pattern was starting to emerge, wasn't it? High hopes, smart comedy, network impatience.
But the ultimate example of this contradiction, this critical success versus commercial failure, has to be Andy Barker, PI, in 2007.
Ah, yes. This one felt like it should have worked. It was a reunion, right? Co-written and executive produced by Conan O'Brien himself.
You'd think that pairing would guarantee something. But no. It became this heartbreaking example of quality just not finding an audience.
The premise was so charming, too. Richter played Andy Barker, this super meticulous accountant, but he's kind of struggling for clients.
Right. Moves into an office where the last tenant was a private eye.
And people mistake him for the PI. So he starts accidentally solving cases while still being obsessed with, spreadsheets and receipts. A gentle noir parody.
It sounds great. Smart, character-driven.
It was. Fantastic writing.
Yeah.
But it aired on NBC, and the ratings were just shockingly bad right out of the gate. Canceled almost immediately.
Man, that feeling of the wrenches gathering dust must have been intense then.
You have to imagine. But here's the final ironic twist for that show. After it was canceled, Entertainment Weekly, huge magazine back then, named Andy Barker, PI, one of the top 10 shows of 2007.
After it was already dead.
Exactly. So the lesson here is pretty clear, right? The critics got it. They recognized Richter's unique voice as a lead, that mix of absurdity and deadpan. But the networks, the wider audience, they couldn't quite figure out where he fit if he wasn't next to Conan.
It was purely a commercial failure, not a creative one, which makes that call to rejoin Conan for The Tonight Show in 2009 seem like such a huge relief,
Yeah.
A return to functional creative security.
Absolutely. He tested the limits, pushed his fortune, and found that solo path was rewarding creatively, sure, but just exhausting institutionally.
But his work ethic didn't just stop. Even with the stability, if we look beyond the talk shows and the canceled sitcoms, the sheer range of his other work is kind of staggering.
Yeah, let's dive into that. Because this is the career he built alongside everything else, often kind of under the radar. And we absolutely have to start with voice acting. Andy Richter is genuinely one of the biggest, most recognizable voice actors working today.
Even if people don't connect the name to the voice immediately?
Right. His most famous role gotta be Mort. That completely manic, wide-eyed, often getting smacked around mouse lemur from the Madagascar movies.
Oh my God, Mort. Yes. He's hilarious.
Pure neurotic energy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a funny contrast to Richter's calm, real-life vibes.
And the sheer amount of Mort he's done is crazy.
The massive longevity. He did the original movies, then the Nickelodeon show The Penguins of Madagascar for 82 episodes.
82.
And then the Netflix series All Hail King Julian for another 78 episodes.
Wow.
That's over 160 episodes, plus the movies, plus shorts, all for one character. That's a whole stable, successful career just right there.
That level of commitment, keeping a character consistent for decades,
Yeah.
that's impressive for any actor, let alone a voice actor.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's not just Mort. His voice, that unique timing, got him lots of other big animation roles. He was Ben Higginbottom, the older brother in Nickelodeon's The Mighty Bee.
Okay.
And if you listen closely, he pops up everywhere.
Yeah.
He was Wendy and Bob's Burgers a few times, often playing these hilariously over-the-top guys.
Right.
He voiced Globby in Big Hero 6. The series? He even dipped into the DC universe as Kronos in Justice League Action.
He gets around.
Oh, and Studio Ghibli. He was in the English dub of The Cat Returns, voicing Natoru. He uses his voice to play characters way more energetic and out there than his usual on-screen persona.
Okay, but maybe the most surprising thing, the thing that shows incredible dedication and brains, is his record on competitive TV.
Ah, yes. For a guy known as the Sidekick, he is a legitimate Jeopardy champion.
This blows my mind. Andy Richter holds the record for the all-time highest one-day score on Celebrity Jeopardy.
It's astonishing, right? He did it during the 2009-10 season, the $1 Million Celebrity Invitational, won a huge $68,000 in one game.
68 grand. That's not just trivia knowledge. That's buzzer speed, strategy, keeping cool under pressure.
Exactly. True competitor stuff. Not what you'd expect from a guy doing comedy sketches every night.
Yeah.
And he donated all of it to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Class act. And he didn't stop there, did he?
Nope. Came back in September 2022 for the premiere of the new Celebrity Jeopardy. Won another $30,000 for the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. Came in second in that first episode. Still got it.
But here's the anecdote that just perfectly ties his two lives together.
Right. Because he did so well in that $1 Million Invitational, he made it to the semifinals. Huge deal.
But he had to drop out.
Had to drop out. Why? Because he'd already committed to going on tour with Conan, the legally prohibited from being funny on television tour, right after they left NBC.
Wow. So he literally chose loyalty, chose the immediate work with Conan over a shot at $1 million for charity.
Yeah. It just underlines how much that partnership meant to him. It often trumped his own individual ambitions, even the ambition to be, like, the greatest celebrity quizmaster ever.
Which leads right into his desire to host a game show himself, right? That seems like a recurring theme.
Definitely. The sources say he was considered twice to host Pyramid. Once in 2010 for CBS, again in 2011 for TBS. He kept trying for that stable front and center host role.
And he almost got one greenlit, didn't he? Step Up on Fox in 2013.
Yeah, Fox ordered it, but it didn't end up happening. He did manage to host that ABC show Big Fan in 2017, though. And he guest hosted Beat Bobby Flay. So that desire to be the guy holding the cards, it's clearly still there.
His versatility even got him onto The Masked Singer recently. 2024, season 12 as Dust Bunny.
Dust Bunny. You just never know where he's going to pop up next. Always trying something new, something unexpected.
Okay, speaking of unexpected, let's talk about those iconic sketch and cameo roles. The one that really cemented him as, like, the ultimate comedy utility player has got to be Arrested Development.
Oh, the Richter quintuplets. Pure meta-comedy genius.
He played 5 different characters, right? Donnie, Cherith, Rocky, Emmett, and himself.
All supposedly brothers.
Yeah.
It was his running joke about Hollywood typecasting, nepotism, and his deadpan delivery just made the absurdity work perfectly. He even came back for season 4.
But look at the sheer range beyond that.
Yeah.
His dramatic cameos, sitcom spots. He was in Monk, playing totally against type as a murderer pretending to be Monk's best friend.
That takes actual acting chops, right?
Oh,
Way beyond just being the funny sidekick.
totally. He also played authority figures, like a psychiatrist in Malcolm in the Middle. Then back to comedy. He was Dale, that annoying blind date Grace tried to ditch on Will and Grace.
Right. And he had that recurring role on The New Adventures of Old Christine for a couple of years. Sad Dad Stan perfectly captured that slightly defeated suburban guy vibe.
And his film work shows that same willingness, right? Just take any interesting part, often the straight man or the slightly baffled authority figure, but it gave him a real presence on screen.
Yeah, think way back to Cabin Boy, Dr. T and the Women. Scary movie, too.
And Elf. He was Morris, the boss dealing with Buddy the Elf.
Yeah.
Classic.
Absolutely. And he was in that whole string of Will Ferrell, Adam McKay movies, too, wasn't he? They knew how to use his deadpan delivery for absurd lines.
Right. Gregory in Talladega Nights, the Mountie in Blades of Glory, Bobby D in Semi-Pro. He just fit into those worlds.
And before we pivot to his personal life, we absolutely have to mention his willingness to use comedy for social commentary. That little digital piece he was in.
Oh, the Prop 8 musical.
Yes. Back in 2008, Mark Shaman wrote this satirical mini-musical, Prop 8 the Musical. Debuted on Funny Orty. Richter was in it, along with a ton of other celebs.
He played a gay California man. It was just a 3-minute thing, but it was sharp commentary on that whole ballot initiative.
And it had real impact. It won a Webby Award for comedy and a GLA Media Award. Shows he was willing to put his name and face out there for advocacy, using satire to make a point.
Okay, so let's shift gears now from the professional risk-taking and versatility to the more personal side. His family, his advocacy, his connection to the writing community.
Right. We mentioned his family background earlier, the early divorce, his father coming out, establishing that theme of change. In his own adult life, he's had 2 really significant marriages.
First to Sarah Theo, right, the actress and author.
Yeah, they were married from 1994 to 2019. That's 25 years. They had 2 kids together, a son born in 2000, a daughter in 2005.
And they worked together, too, didn't they? Collaborated professionally.
They did. There was on that cult show, Strangers with Candy.
Love that show.
Richter guested on it a lot. And famously, they did that Upright Citizens Brigade sketch together as Hansel and Gretel. Very weird, very stylized.
So they were connected on multiple levels. He announced their separation, their divorce, pretty openly on social media in 2019.
Yeah, acknowledged the shift with his typical candor. But, happiness wasn't far behind. He got engaged to Jennifer Herrera in late 2022.
And they got married pretty recently, June 10th, 2023, in West Hollywood.
And here's the perfect full circle moment, tying the personal and professional right back together.
Who officiated?
Conan O'Brien.
No way.
Yes. Conan wasn't just a guest.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one officiating, guiding his friend into that next chapter. Says everything about their bond, right?
Absolutely incredible. Okay, let's talk about his public advocacy. He's been really vocal about Planned Parenthood.
Very visible supporter. And at a fundraiser back in 2016, he shared this intensely personal story. He talked about abortion services that Sarah Thayer received way back in 1992.
Wow. That takes courage to share publicly.
Immense courage. This is before they were married. They had briefly split up. It was a really difficult time for them personally.
Right.
He emphasized how sad they both were, but that they knew it was the right decision for them at that time. And the core of his message was gratitude. Mm-hmm. He said he was eternally grateful for the organization because it allowed them the choice, the timing to bring children into their lives when they were ready. They got married 2 years later, had the 2 kids they adored. It's a powerful argument for agency, for family planning.
Absolutely. And his dedication goes beyond social issues, right? Into the industry itself, supporting fellow writers.
Yeah, definitely. His commitment to the craft, to the community. In April 2019, he joined that big WGA action against the talent agencies.
An ATA dispute, yeah. Over packaging fees.
Exactly. The Guild argued that agencies taking fees directly from productions, instead of just the Writers' Commission, created a conflict of interest.
And the main tactic was for writers to fire their agents, right? All at once.
En masse. Which is a huge career risk in Hollywood, obviously. But Richter, even though he's famous as a performer, still identifies strongly as a writer and producer. He stid with the WGA, fired his agents.
It really underlines that even when he had the stable Conan gig, his identity as a working creative, the plumber needing clean pipes, right, was still central.
Totally. And finally, that quest for his own platform, for creative control on his own terms, it eventually led him to podcasting.
Right. The 3 Questions.
The 3 Questions with Andy Richter. Been doing it since June 2019 on the Earwolf Network. It lets him have those long, deep conversations, totally his way.
Okay, so we've traced this incredible arc. We've gone through the sources. What's the final takeaway here? What's the lesson about Andy Richter?
Well, looking at this whole deep dive, the lesson isn't just he was a great loyal sidekick. It's that his success, his longevity, it comes from this fundamental resilience, this willingness to just explore every single part of the entertainment world.
Improv, voice acting, writing, hosting, drama.
Everything. He's the living proof of balancing creative stability with artistic risk. He found that sweet spot, didn't he?
Yeah.
Using the fame, the security from the talk show couch.
The steady paycheck, keeping the wrenches busy.
Exactly. Using that to fuel the other stuff. the passion projects.
Right.
Whether it was a brilliant sitcom that maybe arrived too early, or decades of voice work, or surprising everyone by crushing it on Jeopardy.
It makes you think back to that relief he felt going back to Conan in 2009, escaping development hell.
Right.
But even when he was safely back on that couch doing his main job, he was simultaneously holding the Celebrity Jeopardy record, voicing a global franchise character, writing books, firing his agent for the WGA.
The plumber, even with a steady gig, never stopped designing new pipe systems on his own time. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the real powerful contrast is between him saying he wanted rest and security.
Right.
And the actual relentless reality of what he produced.
Right.
Despite having stability, his career is just defined by non-stop diverse projects way beyond the main gig. Those solo attempts might have failed commercially, but the skills, the creativity he honed then, that directly fueled the versatility that made him so valuable everywhere else.
Okay, so that brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Hmm.
When you see an artist like Richter, someone who repeatedly seeks out new frontiers, breaking records on game shows, starting his own podcast, chasing hosting gigs, doing voice work for decades, when he could easily just settle into that incredibly successful guaranteed role, what does that pursuit tell us about ambition itself? Does his own philosophy, that desire to push his good fortune, even knowing he might fail, does that ultimately define his career more than the stable partnerships that made him famous?